our first item this evening is item 2A, which is special recognition, a proclamation recognizing the City of Olympia joining the Black Home Initiative. And we will begin with a shared reading of the proclamation, beginning with Councilmember Madrone.
Whereas, in the month of February, the City of Olympia celebrates the contributions of Black Americans to our national history and recognizes that Black history is American history. And whereas the City of Olympia honors the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., whose birthday is observed this year on the January 20th as a national holiday. Dr. King's leadership in the fight against housing discrimination and segregation led to the formation of national legislation to prohibit discrimination in housing. Within 1 week of Dr. King's assassination, Congress passed the Fair Housing Act to prohibit housing discrimination. And whereas, prior to the passage of the Fair Housing Act in 1968, Black residents were restricted from purchasing homes due to discriminatory practices of redlining and restrictive covenants. And whereas the Racial Restrictive Covenants Project involved research teams at the University of Washington and Eastern Washington University, has identified properties in Olympia with legal clauses that excluded people who were not white from purchasing. And
whereas Thurston County Auditor's Office has made it possible for landowners to strike the racially restrictive language from their deeds at no cost, because some deeds still contain discriminatory language. And whereas after the Fair Housing Act prohibited discriminatory practices such as refusing to lend or sell based on a prospective homebuyer's race, many forms of unlawful discrimination endured. And whereas approximately 42% of Black households in Washington state have zero net worth compared to 14% of white households, and whereas Black households in Thurston County have the lowest rate of home ownership of any racial or ethnic group, the home ownership rate in Thurston County for white, non-Hispanic households is 70%, while the home ownership rate for Black households is 51%. And
whereas Governor Jay Inslee signed 2 SHB 1474, which created a down payment assistance program for people affected by restrictive covenants, which were often used to prohibit property from being sold or rented to people of color. Descendants of those discriminated against also qualify under the law for the Covenant Homeownership Program. And whereas the City of Olympia has completed work to identify disparities in access to homeownership through participation in the creation of a countywide assessment of fair housing and formation of regional goals to increase homeownership for BIPOC residents or Black, Indigenous, people of color residents in Thurston County. And whereas the City of Olympia is committed to building on the strategies identified in an affordable homeownership study to broaden access to home ownership and expand supply of affordable housing. And whereas the Black Home Initiative was formed in 2021 to close the racial wealth gap and disparities in home ownership for Black households with a geographic focus in South King and North Pierce counties. And
whereas the City of Olympia aligns with the Black Home Initiative's shared priority and will contribute to shared efforts to increase the supply of homes available to purchase, support low to moderate income Black households who want to buy a home, and overcome the existing fragmented housing ecosystem of public, private, and nonprofit organizations. And whereas the City of Olympia has decided to join the Black Home Initiative to strive to right the wrongs of past discriminatory practices and commits to doing all it can to ensure Black homebuyers get an opportunity to purchase homes. And whereas the City of Olympia has signed a pledge to join the Black Home Initiative as a network partner, and whereas the City of Olympia wishes to establish goals to increase the number of new Black homeowners in order to make tangible progress towards addressing this history of racism, and recognizes some form of reparations are needed to right these wrongs, and
whereas the City of Olympia, with several community partners in Thurston County, have been in conversation with the Black Home Initiative, and the Black Home Initiative leadership has decided to formally expand the network to Thurston County. And whereas the City of Olympia recognizes the important work of the Black Home Initiative, including advocacy to establish the Covenant Homeownership Program. And whereas the City of Olympia encourages other jurisdictions to join the Black Home Initiative's efforts. And
Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Olympia City Council does hereby proclaim February 11th, 2025 as Black Home Initiative and Home Ownership Equity Day in the City of Olympia, and calls upon the community to increase awareness and join the continued effort to repair wrongs of racist policies and practices that have led to the disparities that are still experienced today by Black community members, and invites the community to join our collective work to increase access to home ownership. Signed in the City of Olympia, Washington, this 11th day of February 2025, Olympia City Council, Dante Payne, Mayor. And now at this time, I'd like to invite up Krista Linson, our Senior Housing Program Specialist, who is going to present to us this evening on exactly what the Black Home Initiative is, as we just heard in the proclamation.
All
Good
right.
evening, Krista.
Good evening. Again, my name is Krista Lenson, for the record, Senior Housing Program Specialist with the City of Olympia. So the Black Home Initiative is focused on addressing disparities in homeownership and the racial wealth gap for Black households in Washington. BHI started in 2021 with a focus in King and Pierce counties, and their goals that they set are to help 1,500 new Black low to moderate income households become homeowners by the end of 2028, and 3,000 new Black low to moderate income households become homeowners by the end of 2033. So due to a long-standing history of structural racism and anti-Black discrimination, Black households are less likely to own their own homes, providing fewer opportunities to build wealth and benefit from that intergenerational wealth building. The snapshot you see of the map on the right highlights some of the properties in the Olympia area that carried religious and sometimes racial and sometimes religious restrictions, which prevented people from buying or selling based on race. As you heard in the proclamation, there's a disparity between net worth in households in Washington state. So approximately 42% of Black households have zero net worth. According to 2023 American Community Survey data, the homeownership rate in Thurston County for white non-Hispanic households is 70%, while the homeownership rate for Black households is 51%. So the Black Home Initiative is a network comprised of various different organizations working together on shared goals. So that includes nonprofit organizations, private companies, philanthropy, governments, and other associations who are working to increase Black homeownership in our region. There are over 100 entities who have signed the partner pledge to be part of the network. And Thurston County's partners are listed on the right here. As you can see, there are several partners who just recently joined within this last week. And the announcement of the expansion to Thurston County was made at the Black Home Initiative Partner Summit last week. Project teams who are part of the network work in a variety of areas, which includes increasing affordable housing supply, doing outreach to prospective homebuyers, and supporting the work through communications, policy, and advocacy. In its really short history, the Black Home Initiative has made some remarkable progress and achievements, and I've just highlighted a few of those achievements here. So one of those is that they've created a fund that provides pre-development funding and loans to BIPOC developers of affordable homeownership housing. A buyer readiness fund that helps pay down debt for people who are seeking to get a mortgage. And the Covenant Homeownership Account and Program was passed last year by the Washington State Legislature and provides down payment and closing cost assistance to first-time homebuyers of color. There's also a legacy fund which provide grants to BIPOC-led community organizations who are working to identify and support Black home buyers. So the work of the Black Home Initiative aligns with many of the city's goals and work plans, which are a few of which are highlighted here. And I've just highlighted a few resources here where community members can learn more, get involved, and get assistance if they're interested in purchasing a home. So thank you, and I am really pleased to introduce a representative from the Black Home Initiative core leadership team who's here tonight to make some remarks. So Corey Orville, they'll have you come up, and then followed by Christina Daniels with the Thurston County Realtors Association.
Good evening. On behalf of the Black Home Initiative, thank you for your proclamation. We're very excited to welcome Thurston County and the City of Olympia to this very important work, and we look forward to working beside you to advance Black homeownership. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Christina.
Hi, Christina Daniels. I'm here representing Thurston County Realtors Association tonight as their Government Affairs Co-Director. And just had a quick statement for you. TCRA was very excited when we were asked to co-sponsor this group here with BHI and the work that they're doing here in Thurston County. It's in alignment with our association's effort to promote fair housing in our area. TCRA's participation can help advance housing and accessibility, and we're looking forward to working with these partners as we create a more equitable and attainable housing market for all. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Any comments from the council? Councilmember Madron.
Well, thank you so much, Corey and Christina and Krista. Really excited to have this come forward, and I want to very especially thank Krista because I know that here locally she's been an excellent coordinating force around this in terms of convening the jurisdictions and various partners and thinking things through in terms of what can really be actionable for us. I know it's a partner effort. That's how it's designed. But I've just been watching Krista, from my role at the Regional Housing Council. She came and presented there a couple of times to help the jurisdictions, decide that this is something that we want to do, that we want to be partners with you all in this, and really, really excited to join, and just really, really grateful for the work that all of you are doing.
Any additional comments? I will just say thank you very much again to you both, Krista and Corey. What I love about this initiative is that it takes work that's usually done separately by all of these different entities, and everybody just sort of stays in their lane and does their little part. And instead, what we're doing is we're bringing everybody together to try to address this particular issue. And that's so important in terms of how we're going to respond to this urgent need. That is something that, frankly, is been going on for far too long. And hopefully this is an example that can be replicated by others at some point in the future. I think that, I shared a little bit at the Partnership Summit last week, which, by the way, was the very first time that all of the partners from the Black Home Initiative actually got together in person to share that time together. And, one of the things that was really profound to me is the diversity in the room during that summit of how many people see this as an issue, that they're willing to all come together and work on it. And it's something that, for me, I shared a little bit about how my story of becoming a homeowner is exceptional. It's not everyone's story of how they become a homeowner. And to be honest, to full disclosure, it would have been a lot harder had I not joined the military to make that happen, right? And so in many ways, that is many people's story in this area in particular as to how they end up becoming homeowners. And for those who do not have that service background, it's a much steeper climb for them. And I say that with full humility and recognition of how much work we have to do to pull those folks up along with us. So thank you so much for what you do. I have a signed copy of the proclamation here that I'd like to present to you, and we can all come up and take a photo together. Thank you all so much. And Christina from the Thurston County Realtors Association, thank you for being here tonight. And please extend our gratitude to TCRA for your support and being a partner in this work. Thank you so much.